I'll get started tonight and I'll share the 5 costly mistakes that beekeepers make. And I can tell you right now that I can speak from experience because I think I've wasted a lot of money when I was getting started or pursuing stuff in beekeeping. And yeah, so I thought I'd share that. Let's just start right off the bat. Management mistakes. How can management mistakes be so costly? Well, it's interesting about management mistakes because if you lose your bees, like if your bees abscond or if they perish, they die, of course. You're going to really be out a lot of money, right? Because if you start beekeeping, let's say in the spring, some of you are brand new, you're going to start in 2025. Good for you. But the thing is, what if you spend $300-$400 on your equipment and you spend 150, 200 bucks on a nuke or a package? And usually there's other things you buy, some other things you'll spend money on. So what are we up to now? We're $600-$700 into this, maybe more if you took a class or you bought some books. You could be $1,000 into beekeeping. I know some of you don't spend that much money to get started, but I'm here to tell you most people do. They do. Most people buy a lot of books. They'll take classes. They'll buy the best equipment. They'll buy the best things in beekeeping, and they can have $1,000 wrapped up in just one hive. Now, if you have some poor management, you make some poor management mistakes, and your hive perishes or they abscond, you're out the $1,000 or $500, however much you spent. So you can have queen issues. And you can mismanage that. You can fail to inspect your hive and watch how your queen's doing, not realizing that she's not laying well, or maybe they swarmed, and when they did, they failed to replace the queen. That's not real uncommon, right? There's a lot that happens when they swarm and they have to get a queen because they raise 15, 20 queen cells, swarm cells. And, there's only one per hive, and all at once, all these queens are fighting each other. And then the one that survives has to go out on a dangerous mating flight. Sometimes we don't realize how dangerous it is. If you're a queen bee, you have to go flying out there where birds want to eat you really bad. Dragonflies want to eat you really bad. And there can be thunderstorms, high winds. You can get hit by a car windshield. I mean, it's just dangerous, right? So your virgin queen may go on a mating flight, never make it back, or come back to the wrong hive sometimes. And of course, then you have pests and diseases. And if you don't know how to identify European foul brood, American foul brood, chalk brood, deformed wing virus, viral mites, all these pests too that we have, swampy beetle, all at once your hive starts dwindling, and pretty soon you've made a very costly mistake by not knowing how to manage all these things that are happening. And so management mistakes is the first thing that I want to talk about. And the second thing is a lack of knowledge and education that follows right along the management problem. Now, there is something called learned helplessness, and that's when an individual doesn't really want to spend the time to learn things, and they stay in this helpless state of being. And so rather than learn and rather than study, rather than gain a lot of information on how to keep bees alive, it's this learned helplessness that we would just rather ask somebody more knowledgeable than us and let them solve all of our problems. Now, that has to happen in the beginning, right? Everybody starts not knowing anything. We're all helpless in beekeeping when we first start. But we have to pick up a book. We have to take a class. There's some level of learning that has to happen. And if it happens before we get our bees, that's all the better. It really is. Getting bees because you've watched a couple of my YouTube videos or somebody else's videos on YouTube, and you're excited. You think it'd be cool to wear the suit, work bees, but you didn't really gain any previous knowledge or experience or knowledge, education on how to keep bees, and you all at once you find yourself with a ton of questions. It can be pretty frustrating. So it is important not to go into beekeeping with a helplessness, not knowing what you're doing. Oftentimes, if you're really good at beekeeping, And you don't really have to have a lot of experience. You can read books, you can study, take classes, watch videos, and you can begin to understand things. And because if you start to understand bees, you'll notice they tell you things. They really do. And let's be honest, bees tell you things, right? They tell you if they're hungry because you walk out of your back door and you see bees flying around your door. You see bees flying around your garbage. You see bees, if you open up a hive and they're angry, there's something wrong. They could be queenless, they're buzzing louder. Bees are always giving us these signals. So the more experienced and the more knowledge we have on beekeeping, we can stop making mistakes of lack of knowledge, lack of education. Another costly mistake is expanding before you're ready. Now, this is when a lot of people go out too big too soon. Let me talk about that. A lot of beekeepers get so excited over their first year. They love it. They love, everything about beekeeping. And let's face it, I mean, it's fun. And you get into it, and sometimes it's easier than you thought. And I had a survey, but I don't have the survey notes here. But it was a pretty high percentage of people that found beekeeping was harder than they thought it would be. And a lot of people, though, they get started and it goes well. And what they do, they start off by getting a lot bigger pretty soon. They go from one hive. Now, a lot of people get larger. I'm talking about maybe hive population here. A lot of people get more hives, and it's not really that they're trying to. They start with 1 or 2 hives in the spring, and maybe they overwintered 1 or 2, and now those 2, they swarm. They caught 2 swarms, maybe 3 swarms. Somebody called them from the local municipality and said, hey, we have a swarm on a tree, and you get another swarm. I hear all the time people going from 1 hive to 5 hives to 20 hives to 100 hives. And this just really does happen. Now, if you do that too soon, it can really take its toll. And especially if you expand before you're ready. You may not have the knowledge how to handle or work 50 hives or 100 hives, even 20. 1 or 2 hives, you can manage those, right? And then you have more equipment need. You have to have a bigger extractor if you're extracting the honey. And so I'm just encouraging you, don't jump too soon and don't get too large before you're able to handle that. This also applies to those of you that are thinking about starting a beekeeping business. This is very common in beekeeping, and it has been. This is not a new phenomenon at all. This is something that has gone on for a century. People will keep bees, and pretty soon they have a beekeeping business. It's pretty common. And nowadays it's even easier because you can just pop up a website, your own website going. You can start a Facebook group and get yourself well known on Facebook, and you can start advertising whatever products you are selling. There are some big companies that will let you resell their products. Before long, you're a distributor of another big company. And before long, you're raising queens, you're selling woodenware. And if you do that, let me say this. I counted up when I was biking today, trying to pedaling my way back here in a hurry. I noticed that I thought to myself, I know 5 people in beekeeping since, the last probably 10 years, maybe 15 years, that started their own beekeeping business and found it to be overwhelming. And they, 1 or 2 lost their marriage over it. 1 went bankrupt over it. I mean, it's sad. It's one of those things where what could be more fun than having a bee business, right? You love bees so much. I love selling bee stuff. I love selling honey. I can sell hives. I can sell queens. I can sell this. I can get myself out there in front of the beekeeping community. I can work with resellers and so on and so on. Well, before long, you realize you don't have time anymore for the important things in life, because just because it's a bee business, it's still a business. And you know how a business is. If you're running your own business, you only have to work half a day, right? You can work the first half, the first 12 hours, or the last 12 hours. I mean, you're working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, trying to get your own personal business going. So just be careful not to expand too quick. Be sure you're ready, and be sure you can have a balanced life when you do that. Now, another costly mistake that I often see, and one that I don't know how to stop, is that people in beekeeping that are new will oftentimes buy solutions. That's right. They will pay for solutions, and they buy solutions by buying equipment. That's right. Equipment. Equipment. People feel like, oh, I just saw this new thing. Did you guys see this new thing? I mean, that's what that's what I always hear people tell me, David, did you see this one new thing? Oh, they tell me about it. And I think, that's actually not new. It's actually was tried about, I think 25 years ago and it didn't work. But people don't know that it was tried and failed. And now it's somebody kicked it up again. And here we go. So some things are new and they do work and they're great. And I'm glad we have new stuff. But you also have to remember, I am shocked. I am just literally shocked when I go to big conferences and I watch new beginners load up their trucks with a lot of equipment that most of us with experience in beekeeping say, yeah, they'll never use that. That will never help them. But it's so fun, isn't it? It's so fun to go, whatever your interest is. Let's break away from beekeeping real quick. Whatever your interest is. If you go to a convention of your particular interest, you got to buy something and take it home with you. It's so cool, isn't it? Oh, I bought this. How many of us, have gone to a place where we're a hobby or something we're really interested in? We bought a whole bunch of stuff because we thought it would be cool. And now you're a little embarrassed to admit all that stuff's off in a corner somewhere and it was a waste of time and money. So be careful. Don't just assume that all of your problems can go away based on you buying a solution. You really cannot buy good beekeeping solutions. You have to learn beekeeping. And like I always say, all you need to keep bees, you need a hive tool, you need a hat and a veil, and you need a bee box, and you need some bees. You don't need all the other stuff. It's helpful. Sometimes you do need to feed your bees. You need to take care of them. But, for the most part, there's a lot of gizmos and gadgets out there that we all can do without. And the last thing I want to tell you about is similar to number 4, is that a big mistake that costs people a lot of money is being too gullible. That's right. It's real easy just to hear of a new fad, of a new type of hive, of a new type of food feed, a new type of Mite Control, a new thing that's just like we all have to try it, new insulation, new wraps, new methods. And I've noticed in beekeeping, probably more than anything else I've ever been involved in, and is that people are much more gullible in beekeeping, especially new beekeepers. New beekeepers are way more gullible because as a new beekeeper, you're searching out for an answer. And when you hear anything, it's the answer, it's the way. And so if you can just back off a little bit, and here's my philosophy, and I'm not asking you to embrace my philosophy. I'm just going to tell you, it works for me. I always say, I don't own the corner of all beekeeping knowledge. I want you to feel free to do what you want to in beekeeping. It's not my way or the highway. But here's my way of doing it. If something new comes out, I may try it, but I won't try it gun ho. I won't sign the contract. I won't sign on the dotted line until 2 or 3 years. Well, usually a year. I usually like to let things go about a year. Because sometimes things come and we're all excited about it. A year later, you don't even hear about it anymore. So I don't want to waste my money on something until I guess I'm letting other people try it and tell me what they think before I waste my money on it. So you want to, realize that beekeeping can really drain the pocketbook really fast. It is a real expensive hobby. If you're new to beekeeping or if you're thinking about it in 2025, I'm going to say something that probably isn't said that often on YouTube or in conferences. Beekeeping is one of the more expensive hobbies. It really is. Now, some of you are thinking, no, I'm a fisherman. I'm on a bass boat. I'm a golfer. I get new golf clubs. Going golfing's expensive. Bowling's expensive. I know. But hey, have you ever bought one of these huge radial motor-driven extractors? Thousands of dollars, people, thousands of dollars. You ever had your equipment wax dipped and you buy new equipment all the time? You're going to spend thousands of dollars if you have 100 colonies and if you have to buy a bunch of supers. If you have to buy a forklift to put your pallets of bees up on a flatbed, thousands upon thousands, $50,000 for a fork truck, $50,000 for a flatbed. There you go. You got the idea now. You're saying, well, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm warning you, this hobby can really take off pretty fast on you. And if you're not careful, it will drain your pocketbook pretty fast. So I just wanted to give you some ways to avoid these costly mistakes in beekeeping that can really take you by surprise of how much money you're spending in beekeeping that could have been money that you could have saved and focused on. You could have still been in beekeeping and had fun in beekeeping, but you could put your money more in the things that really matter with your bees. So now I want to take a moment before we get into any questions. I want to take a moment for all of you right now to leave in the comments what your opinion is on what's costly in beekeeping. Okay. What has been costly in beekeeping that you probably could have done without, but you spend a lot of money on this or that? What is it? What is so costly? What do you find to be the most costly thing in beekeeping? You bought a new pickup truck so I could put bees in the back. Living the dream. What can I say? Yeah, sugar is not cheap. My gosh. You feed your bees? Yeah. Oh, I know. Buying extra equipment I never used. That's not the problem with me. I need more equipment. Yeah, but that's so true. Buying that extra equipment. Yeah, the hobby becomes an obsession really fast, especially those kind of personalities. Feeders are expensive. Absolutely. Yeah, these are good points. Labels for your honey jars. Absolutely. Those are expensive. Yeah. Beetle traps. Now, beetle traps aren't that bad, but they do cost, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, buying gadgets. Let's face it, there's a lot of gadgets. Well, losing the queen and buying new ones. Yeah, John, we all have to do that at times. I raise my own queens. That saves a little bit. Bears, absolutely. Fortunately, no bears in Illinois, but a lot of my friends had to battle bears. Electric extractors, electric fences. I thought about that with bears too. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of money goes into extractors. That's for sure. That's wild. All right. What else? What else you guys spending money on? Almost everything, especially recovering from newbie mistakes. Yeah. Absconsions, feral queen issues. That's right. Oh, yeah. Pest control. Yeah. First time mentioned. Boy, the treatments for mites are so expensive, aren't they? They are. A lot of you might say, well, OA is not that expensive. Vaporizers are expensive. Yeah, maybe the crystals aren't, but the vaporizer's $500. Yeah, all these things are expensive in beekeeping. Buying queens. Some people are online here watching us and they're thinking about getting started in 2025 and now they're just shaking. They're like, oh my gosh, I told my wife that I'd only have to spend maybe $150 to buy some bees. And now David said it's going to cost like $400,000 to keep 2 hives. They're like, whoa, I'm going to have to break the news softly on that one. Pneumatic brad nailers for frame building, freezers. Now you got it. Now you guys know. It's like you're looking into my life. Yeah, I know. My gosh. Bee sting ointment. That's pretty cheap. A little spit here and there. Oh, you did an inspection in shorts. Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, if you don't, you have to buy a new long pair of pants. You have to buy protective equipment. That's expensive. A bee suit. I need a new suit. Let's face it. My suit looks terrible. Yeah. Oh, I think the most costly thing is gloves, random stuff that looks great, but don't work well as they should. Boy, isn't that the truth? Yeah, I know. Just bought it and didn't work like I thought it would. All right. Well, that's good, guys. I wanted to tell you about my bee suit. I don't have it with me in here. It's way over there, but it's gotten too big. I'm not getting small. I mean, I might be losing a little weight, but I don't think I'm getting that much smaller. My bee suit, like all the elastic, I've had it for years. There's no more elastic. My sleeves are this big around and my arm, bees are coming in every place there used to be elastic. And I need to buy a new bee suit. This one's too big. It really is. It's stretched over time. I don't know what happened. And I don't like it. I don't like the way I look in it. I don't like the way it feels anymore. I'm probably not going to buy one right away. I'll wait until maybe winter to buy one, but I don't know. I'm going to have to research a good bee suit. I like that one. I want one just like that one, but I don't think they make that anymore. It's got the big vent on the top. I know Sheriff Company has some vented suits, but I want one that I look really cool in. Cool as I can. All right, let's have some bee time questions. Oh, let's talk about this. Yeah, the Beak Meet 2025, January 25th. Start saving that date. This is going to be a big deal. It's a big deal every year. It's a big conference. And if you like your favorite YouTubers, they're going to be at this event. This is really cool. I can't remember all their names, but I'll try. Ian Stepler is going to be there. Mr. Ed. Fred Dunn. I'm going to leave out so many. Well, the stream team. I can't recall all of them now, but basically the big chunk of everybody that makes beekeeping videos on YouTube is going to be there. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. And I'm also going to be speaking in a couple of weeks at the Iowa Honey Producers Association, October 25th and 26th. Probably still plays a room for people. I'm not sure if they filled up yet or not. The biggest Midwest conference. So if you're going to be there in that area, that'd be great. I'd love to see you guys over there too. Don't speak a lot this time of the year, but I do have those two. I kind of like to relax toward the end of the year and first part of the year. I like Christmas and all those things. So, all right. Very good. Let's get into beekeeping questions. It's amazing how we always start questions about 7:26 every day. Every Thursday. That's pretty cool. 7:26. All right. Hello, Mike. I have 3 hives with 2-gallon box feeder completely full that didn't last 2 days. Should I be worried? I don't have any signs of robbing. Mike, make sure it's not leaking. Have you checked for that? It sounds like a big reservoir feeder on top of your hive. Is that what you mean? Holds 2 gallons? I don't know. But I would say if you want to test it, I always recommend people test big box feeders that hold liquid to put them on the sidewalk or a piece of cardboard and to fill them up with water first and let it sit there and see if there's any leaks. If it's not leaking and it's not robbing, yeah, your bees are devouring that. Absolutely. They will this time of the year. Not uncommon. All right. I have a medium super on a single deep. Super has brood and deep has food store. Should I put the super with brood under the deep? That sounds backwards, doesn't it? Okay. Medium super on a single deep. I sure would hate to swap that. I mean, I really would. I like always having my medium supers on top. But boy, in this case, that's not a lot of brood down there. You could try it. I mean, it's not the best scenario. The bees are going to, if you have a winter that's cold, the bees are going to want to move up and they'll just be moving up into that deep with the honey. So I guess all in all, it sounds like it would work to me. Yeah, but don't hold it at that. It may not work. I don't know. It'd be better if your food was above the brood. So if you can swap it around, maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah. Let me know how that works out. Oh, Superior Video and Photography Live. Sounds like you need to be running the live stream or at least be my editor. Okay, David, here's my question for the night. I want to take the frames out of this hive and put them into boxes that are sanded and finished because the boxes the frames are in now are leaking. Oh, the boxes are leaking. Okay, well, it sounds like you just need to swap some frames into new boxes. And let me read that. Am I missing something here? Put them into boxes that are sanded and finished because the boxes are leaking. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'm going to assume you're just going to swap some frames into a new box. We did that in one of our last videos we filmed because the box was bad, and then we just moved the frames out, set the new box off to the side, and pull the frames out. That's great. Oh, got a new member on the YouTube channel. Thank you guys for being part of our membership. You can become a Nectar novice or an ambassador, Beak Squad ambassador. And within the next few weeks, I'm going to be having a special live stream just for our YouTube members. So be watching for that. Hello, Fred. Can you use that big word moth killer? Oh, on honey frames. Ooh, Doc. I'm thinking of another word. So anything that kills moths, no. Like, don't use any chemical that is like for mothballs. I forgot it starts with an M, nap something. But yeah, there are some things that we can use that's on the market for controlling uh, wax moths that's different than mothballs, that kind of a product. Um, Paradichlorine benzenate, for example, is kind of like is like for wax moths, but it's still very carcinogenic for everybody. I'm not a real fan of that. I just like to freeze my frames rather than use all those chemicals. Hey, David, I did a Formic Pro treatment on my hives, all two of them, and waited 2 weeks after that. One hive has a lot of honey, but no larvae, a little cap brood. Too late to requeen. Todd, I don't know where you live. Formic Pro, some people do report that it, kills the queen. That's kind of a going thing that people say. I'm not, I'm not saying that it doesn't do that. I've never experienced that. I think sometimes if a queen is already weak, already failing, or the hive is weak and failing, that it could cause that to happen. A lot of people are going to one pad at a time to prevent that. But nonetheless, it's probably not too late to requeen if it's warm enough for you to open up the hive and put a new queen in there. Absolutely. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt a thing. Be a good idea. Hello, Tom. Hi, David. I read somewhere that bees can't see red. Is this true? It is kind of true. It's probably accurate to say they don't really see red. I mean, they don't observe the red color at all. They see with ultraviolet eyes, and so that a lot of times we do use red lights because bees aren't attracted to a red light, for example, like they would be a white light. Those of you that leave porch lights on, you oftentimes ask me, why are there dead bees on my porch in the morning? They're attracted to the light. They come out of their hive going for the light bulb. Yeah. I want to do a study, by the way. I want to feed my bees at night because I really think my bees could fly at night. Then it got too cold and my bees won't fly if it's, below 50 Fahrenheit. But I think I've read where in some countries, bees will go and get certain flowers only bloom at midnight or something, and bees will fly and get it. I meant to do that study. If it warms up, I'm going to go feed my bees at night and see if they'll do it. Hey, Glenn, I know the queen gets blamed for producing too many drones, but isn't it the workers that make the cells? She measures the cells with her legs to decide if the egg is fertilized or not. That's very accurate, Glenn. You did accurately say that correctly. It is the queen that lays in drone-sized cells. Now, the queen can start laying drone brood if she's failing. If she runs out of sperm in her spermatheca, she'll lay eggs that aren't fertilized. And she'll lay those eggs usually in worker-sized cells. They do become drones. They become smaller drones, but they're drones nonetheless. But you're accurate about that. The workers are the ones that will fashion the size of those cells, those drone cells, right? They'll make the number that they want to make, and the queen will know to lay unfertilized eggs in there. Yep, that's a good point. Blaming it on the queen, and she's like, "Hey, I'm just laying what you guys tell me to lay in. That's a big cell. Why are you complaining for? You told me to you wanted drones. I'm laying drones. Quit yelling at me." Question: do I have to be in same state as you to be in the mentoring program? I really need a mentor and no one to be my mentor. No, not at all, Mike. I think some people might feel like, oh, I'm in the same state as David, so therefore I know what he does would be weather-wise the same. But that always confuses me why people think that way, because how you manage your bees weather-wise it's the same. I mean, if it's 70 degrees in Illinois, it's 70, when it becomes 70 degrees wherever you live, it's still 70 degrees. Spring is spring and fall is fall. It's just different times of the year. So you just have to adjust things a little bit. It's still, bees do the same things based on temperature and daylight and seasons. So you just have to adapt it. But you're welcome to join the mentoring program. I don't know if we always have openings, but certainly you can check to see. That program is called B Team 6. I ran it for 8 or 9 years, I think, and people sign up and they mentor me. I mentor them through email. Sometimes I mentor me, but I enjoy mentoring people. Emma's World, at what point do you decide that your comb is too old and scrape it off and let the bees start over? Brood and supers. That's a good question. It's real easy to figure that out. I would say most of us in the hobby field feel like that after about 5 years, we'd love to swap those out. Now you can go longer, and commercial operators, they go longer because it's a much more of a budget issue. When you replace, 1,500 colonies with 20 frames in them, that's going to be a lot of money. So they might stretch it to 10 years or so, and you can stretch it to 10. Another test you can do is hold it up to the sunlight and see how black it is. We don't like it to get too old because every generation leaves a cocoon in the cells of the brood area. And so the cells get smaller and smaller and smaller over time. And sometimes we fear there could be American foul brood spores between the layers of the cocoon. And so we feel like there's less pesticides. Jennifer Berry did a study with wax many years ago, and she found even in natural raised wax in a hive that it was contaminated after a year or two with pesticides. So in other words, the bees pick up pesticides from our environment and trace it back into their own wax that they built themselves in the hive. So it's not a bad idea to replace that, both in the super and in the brood. I think most of us go longer on the super frames for that reason. No cocoons up there. Nancy, is there a way to stop? Oh, wait a minute. Is there a way to feed my bees propolis back to them? I pulled the queen excluder today and it has so much propolis on it. Sure you can. Just take the propolis and put it somewhere in the hive, in a corner, out of the way. Let them manage it however they want to. Absolutely. Probably lay it on the bottom board or something, and they'll start working it. Yeah, I've heard of people doing that before. They will do that. I used to say that bees don't go out and rob propolis from another hive that's been deserted or something, but I've videotaped, and I have a video on my channel where I actually videotaped a honeybee in a where a colony had deserted a tree, and it had propolis, and a bee was there picking the propolis out, packing it into her pollen baskets, taking it back to the hive. So bees do gather propolis from other places. Just notice many bees that have a yellow rectangle on their back here in North Dakota. Is that some sort of pollen they got into? Flowers are still blooming, but frost is expected Tuesday. Yeah, we're getting into some frost on Tuesday, I think, too. That's funny. I got a phone call years ago from a beekeeper. It was somebody on my mentorship program, and they said, my bees are bleeding blood. And I was like, whoa. I knew that wasn't right because bees don't have red blood. And so I said, send me a picture. They sent me a picture, and right behind the head of the bee on the thorax, the thorax is kind of hairy. There was blood red pollen just right on the back of that thorax. And it did look like the bees were bleeding, but no, that's just red pollen. In your case, there's no yellow rectangle that I know of that is a mark on honeybees. They're banded with their abdomen. And so I think that's certainly pollen. You could catch a bee and kind of brush it off, use a Q-tip or something. Don't get stung, but you could play with it and see if you could just brush that off. That's interesting. Yeah. North Dakota is still blooming. That's cool. Let's see. Do bees rob at night? Generally, no. We're so happy when a hive is being robbed out that nightfall finally comes because the bees will stop robbing and go back home, and maybe you can take action and put a robber screen on. No, they'll stop robbing at night. Bees just don't like to fly at night. I said they will, sometimes they do, but a robbing adventure is not at night, is not something bees are interested in doing, I don't think. Hi, Linda. David, I want to move a queen from my rescue or resource nuke. Is there any advantage to putting her in a queen cage attached to a frame from the resource nuke rather than a frame on the hive moving her to? Oh, I kind of know what you're asking there. So you want to move a queen from a resource nuke. Yeah, I think you're going to put your frame in an entire queen cage, and a queen cage attached to a frame. Oh, you're talking about a push-in cage. Okay. So advantage of putting her in a queen cage and a frame resource nuke rather than a frame on hive moving her to. Is there an advantage? I'm thinking. Give me a second here. Yeah, I think there would be an advantage. Put her in a push-in queen cage. I think that would probably get her pheromones circulated more. Kind of like putting her in her own queen cage, right? Let them eat through candy first. I think it would help. I think it's a good idea, Linda. Yeah, do that. Let me know how that worked out. I've never tried that before. Yeah. Joseph, first year here, put in a robber screen at Apigard dose 1, went for 2 today. Bottom board covered in dead bees, slimy texture, small hay beetle maggots maybe. Sick, sweet smell. What happened? Now what? Frames salvageable. Oh boy, everybody that is in small hay beetle territory, we all know what happened, don't we? And that's sad. This is just a terrible case of small hay beetle infestation. The small hay beetle larvae in the wandering stage will just go through everything and defecate and slime everything. They'll go through brood and honey, and just, it does smell like you described. And are the frames salvageable? I think some people do try to take them to a car wash, rinse them off. I mean, it's not anything bad on them. You could freeze them, but bees aren't too quick to go back to them once they've been slimed like that. That's what we call slimed. You need to find a way to probably pressure wash them and then put new wax on them. It's going to be the best case. But that sounds like a clear case of small hay beetle got way out of control, and the larvae just slimed the whole hive. Smells like fermenting fruit sometimes. Just leaks out. It will drip out of a hive, run out of a hive. If you've never seen a hive that's been slimed, then I can't tell you. Once you experience it, you will go after a small hay beetle like crazy. You'll never want that to happen. Hi, David. Any report or opinion yet on new I always have trouble saying that, Viroxan product? Here's your, what's your plan for trying them? Yes, I've tried them. If you watch my videos, I've made 2 videos of using them. They are very handy to use. I'll tell you a couple of things I liked and a couple of things I didn't like. I've got some over there. I didn't like I think I bought 60 of them in a box maybe, or package. And when I opened, I was hoping they'd be wrapped differently, but all 60 were just in a bag. And I didn't like that because I didn't want to use all 60 that day, right? And so I was like, oh, that's too bad. What do I do? I don't like that. I guess I could have bought fewer maybe, but that's what I saw when I bought it. They're easy to install. The one thing you have to be cognitive is, boy, you have to wear so much protective gear. You have to wear goggles. You have to wear a respirator, a particle respirator for that. You have to wear long sleeves. You have to wear at least a 14 mil nitrile glove. I think 14 or 15 mil. The ones I have in my bicycle shop around here, they're not that thick. So I had to use my other chemical gloves. You have to wear shoes. No, I'm serious. You do have to wear a lot of protective gear. And that I hate that. It's a little bit of a a hassle using that, Farming Pro anymore doesn't say you have to wear all that stuff on Farming Pro, but on these you do. And I haven't gone back and they have to be in there. For mine had to be in there 42 or 46, 42 days, I think. So I got to go back soon and take a count, see how well they did. But it's a slow release on killing mites. It's yeah. So I'll let you know when I have more results. Yeah. They are easy to put into a hive, 4 strips and where the bees are on. Oh, Matthew, I'm using the frame of a crown board as a spacer. Will that affect feeding when I add my winter bee kind? It probably won't if they're not building comb at that time of the year. If they're building comb, they can build comb in that spacer area. Now, sometimes in the wintertime, even I'll feed my bees my winter bee kind, and they will consume it so effectively that they will actually build comb from it inside the winter bee kind board in the gap that it's created when they eat the sugar out of it. And then I have to scrape the comb. They'll build comb in the wintertime. That's amazing to me that they would build comb in the wintertime. Yeah, so you have to kind of be aware of that. They might. All right, what else we got going on tonight? I checked my hives on Tuesday. I was surprised to see drones still in the hives as I'm in North British Columbia. How late in the season is it before they are kicked out and the queen quits laying? Nobody really knows. It's just the personality of the hive. It's just, now I do know that if a hive is queenless, they won't kill their drones, even though those drones won't mate with their virgin queen, their brothers. But they do not kick out their drones if they're queenless, if they're raising a queen or something, because they feel like other hives must need drones too. So it all depends on the weather, the climate, the season. There's no exact date. It's kind of like, when is going to be my first frost? We don't know the exact date of the first frost. We can guess. Pretty much common for us is early part of October. So it's the same with drones. My bees are not kicking out drones either. And here I am all the way on October the 10th, and I still have drones like it's spring. It's crazy. I think I did see one drone get kicked out. They've been kicking out some larvae of drones. Not too much so. All right. How can I encourage bees to draw out 3 plastic frames in October? Oh boy, I'm going to say that's a tough question. You could try to feed them 1-to-1, but this is something that you're way, way too late to be doing that. It depends on where you live, of course. If you're maybe in Australia, it's going to work out really well now. But no, if you're in the US, it's just not going to work out well in October. But you could try feeding them. That's about the only way. Take a plastic frame, coat it with wax, add more wax to it, feed the daylights out of them, see if they'll draw that out. But it's going to be tough this time of the year. Yeah. All right. We got a giveaway coming up. We'll take another question, then we'll do a giveaway. Christina, can a hive swarm with the queen and try to take over another established hive? In my experience, I'll tell you 2 observations that I had. One hive swarmed and landed on the back. I think I even have my picture. Landed on the front of a hive. And they did not go in the hive. They just stood on the outside in a big clump right below the top cover. And I actually tried an experiment where I simply opened the top cover. And sure enough, that swarm went inside that hive. Don't ever do that. If you're old enough like me and you remember watching the old Batman shows when they got into the fight with the Joker, there was always these things on the screen that said pow and boom. That's what was going on inside that hive when I let that swarm in there. There was just, you could hear bees punching each other and kicking the wall, and dead bees were coming out of the front fighting and everything. That was horrible. So no, they don't do that. Another time though, I did see a small swarm. It was like an after swarm, they're called. And they landed below the entrance of a hive. And I swear, this is going to sound like I'm making this up, but there's no reason I need to make this up. All the guard bees, all the bees of the colony stood in a row and faced outward onto, the other hive that had landed there. This other swarm sent an equal amount of bees, like maybe 50 to 100 in a row. I so badly wish I had my camera. This was like 15 years ago, and cameras weren't that great back then. But they just stood there like big rows, and they talked. They carried on some sort of battlefield negotiation, and then lo and behold, they all walked in. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have not believed that story. But I watched it happen. It was really weird. So it can happen. All right, it's time for a giveaway. Let's see what we're going to do. Should we do spin the wheel tonight? Spin to win? Let's do it. All right, let's get this over here. Spin to win, spin the wheel has a lot of options on it. And it kind of scares me because it might land on some personal ones that I have to talk about. So let's see what happens. All right, maybe it'll land. If it lands on a Beak Squad sticker, then it's a giveaway night. And it seems like I need to tighten up a bolt because it doesn't stop real fast, does it? Oh, it landed on giveaway, Beak Squad giveaway. That's very good. Tonight we're giving away a tumbler. So if you'll leave in the comment section, if you'll leave the word hashtag tumbler, lowercase, please. And look at that. Here's what they look like. The Beak Squad tumbler. And this one's autographed by me. There you go. If you don't like my autograph, then you can take some alcohol and wash that off. But the tumblers are great. These are remarkable. They keep everything so hot if it's hot, so cold if it's cold. I can't even get my ice to melt. It's crazy. But hashtag tumbler, Beak Squad. By the way, we do have a lot of Beak Squad merchandise. We don't sell it to make a profit here, but Candy and Robbie, I think maybe Candy, but they do a great job. And there's the banner going by now talking about where you can go for Beak Squad merchandise, shirts, hats, like this. I do like this hat. There we go, a little more crooked on it. But yeah, that's fun. So hashtag tumbler. If you'd like to win a tumbler, we'll get that shipped out to you. Now, it's important. Let me remind you that if you win tonight, you need to email us within 24 hours. That means by this time tomorrow night, so we can keep track of who won and get that sent out to you. Don't wait 2 or 3 days. That just messes things up, and we forget we even did anything. It's like, what is that email about? Oh, yeah, somebody won a tumbler. So help us get that to you by kind of getting a hold of us as soon as you can. All right, let's go ahead and give a tumble. Give a tumble and for the tumbler. See how it goes tonight. All right, here we go. Who's going to win the tumbler tonight? Thank you, Daniel, for being a member of our YouTube channel. Appreciate that. Oh, Brian. I don't know Brian. I probably do know Brian, but Brian, you're the winner tonight. So be sure and email us. We have a new email address for our winners. Those of you that win, that email address is, I forgot what it is. Robbie will tell us what it is here in a second. There, nope, that's me. What is the email address that they will send it to? Robbie's still looking. Oh, well, I forget what it is. beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. Okay, there you go. That's good. beaksquadwinner@gmail.com. Yep, there it is. So if you, Brian, you'll need to email us within 24 hours so we can get that sent right out to you. Very good. Congratulations. Always fun to have a giveaway. Let's do a couple of more questions. We got about 5 more minutes tonight to answer your questions. Oh, I want to ask you a question. Dan, stand by, Dan. All right. Let's see. I wanted to ask you guys a question. Hang on. I mean, here it is. There's so much stuff on my desk. I'm so glad you can't see this tabletop here. I literally have probably easily 100 things on this table right now, and it's just messy. Anything that's horizontal like this, I will fill it up. Sherry will tell you, I'm the kind of guy that I don't like to put things away. I like to keep them where I can see them. Okay, I'll see if you know what this is. This is going to be a question for all of you tonight. Look at this. two parts to it. Do I need to hold it differently? So look at that. It's got screw holes. So this is one piece. It looks like this. And they're identical, but they're just in sections. There's two pieces to them. What is this? Anybody know? It's a good question, isn't it? All right. Anybody know what that is? I'm looking down below. Ooh, somebody got it. Who got it? All right, let's put that comment up. Let's see. I lost it. They're coming in too fast. Can't read that fast. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, the answer is these go onto your hive box. Like this would go on the top, on the corner. Somebody mentioned it. It would go on the corner of your hive box. This would go on the bottom of the hive box, and they would sit like this, and you would leave a gap for your hive tool. Let's see if I can get that right. So they would screw onto your box, and then all you do is just take your hive tool and push the hive tool in the gap to pry the boxes apart. See, that gives you more leverage, and you don't have to damage your wooden boxes. I think it's made by Be Smart, and I like these. It's not a paid promotion, by the way. I just saw these and I thought I'd just show you these. They do sell these, but I have damaged a lot of my boxes that get so propylized together. Yeah, they're pry points for boxes. Yeah, that's good. All right, let's get Dan's question back up there. I like that. No, Dan. I want Dan back. Dan, there he is. How do you run your screen bottom boards that is wide open all summer, open day, close at night, adjust for the forecast? No, I leave my screen bottom boards open all the time. I have about half my hives that go through the winter with them open, half go through the winter with them closed. So it's Dan, it's really up to you. Don't think that this bottom board is going to make or break the success of your hive. It really boils down more to how good your queen is, how well fed your bees are, how much brood you have of bees or winter physiology, mites are under control. That plays much bigger of a role in winter survival or your bees' health than the bottom board does. The bottom board helps, don't get me wrong, but really it boils down to management, not so much the equipment. So I wouldn't stress out over that. I think a lot of people are leaning toward solid bottom boards again. We just kind of go back and forth. The bug in here, but yeah, don't get too stressed out over that. All right, last question for tonight. I have a hive with a virgin queen. Will it survive winter? No. Oh well, the hive might survive winter, but the virgin queen will go too long, and she will not be able to mate in the spring. Virgin queens need to mate within about 21 days after they emerge, or they won't ever take a mating flight. I've seen it. I've come through winter with virgin queens, and no. And they can't replace her because there's no eggs, right? They can't raise a queen because there's nobody laying eggs. So they're done unless you can get a new mated queen in there. Yep. You got to get these queens mated as soon as they emerge. Yep. Well, guys, that has been great being with you guys tonight. Oh my gosh, I wish we could all be together in person, but this is the next best thing. Appreciate you guys so much. And again, tonight, we encourage all of you to donate to help those that have really been struggling with all the tragedy and chaos and things going on with the hurricanes recently. And we're encouraging you tonight, rather than donate to the live stream tonight, to donate to help out with whether it's American Red Cross or whatever relief organization of your choice. Let's please be aware that people in the path of these hurricanes really do need our support. So let's keep that in mind. And a lot of beekeepers probably lost some bees. I mean, beekeeping is the least thing kind of you worry about, I guess. You want to worry about your family, your safety, your home, your power, shelter, medical needs, water. Those are the important things. But sometimes people still lost their bees too. And so there's a lot going on. So thank you for supporting understanding our desire tonight is to support those that are suffering in that way. Yeah. So, guys, I'm going to be making a green chair video tomorrow. I'd love for you to be around for the green chair. I'm going to answer more questions tomorrow in that video. So I hope you'll be looking for that video to go out. I want to thank Sherry and Robbie and Jessica tonight. They did an outstanding job making it all happen tonight. So thank you guys for administrating the live stream tonight. And thank you all for being here. I love and appreciate you all so much. And be watching for all the videos coming up this week. I'm making a lot of videos. We're almost at 155,000 subscribers. So be sure, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Good night.